This time, I'm going to interpret for you a classic business book on mergers and acquisitions. The book is titled Barbarians at the Gate, with the subtitle The Fall of RJR Nabisco, the most aggressive takeover in history. Before we dive in, please click on the subscribe button below to stay updated. So, how aggressive was this capital acquisition? First of all, the amount of the acquisition was huge, with the final transaction amount reaching $31 billion. Moreover, the parties involved were also significant. The acquirer was Kohlberg Kravis Roberts and Company, KKR, a veteran kingpin in the leveraged buyout field and one of the most successful industrial investment institutions in financial history. The target was R.J. Reynolds Nabisco Incorporated, RJR Nabisco, a household name known for Oreo cookies and Camel cigarettes, and ranked among the top 20 large enterprises in the United States. Most aggressive is hardly an exaggeration. But why barbarians at the gate? This acquisition was aggressive for two reasons. It was a leveraged buyout, and it had a hostile takeover aspect. A leveraged buyout, as the name suggests, relies on leverage, i.e. debt, to raise funds and acquire larger targets. Such snake-swallowing and elephant transactions can be quite brutal. The hostile takeover aspect means that the acquirer did not get the cooperation of the target's management and directly waged war against them with a "we are going to buy" attitude. Using leverage and coming uninvited is like a radical and rough barbarian seizing control at someone's doorstep. The title aptly describes this acquisition's characteristics, and it has since become a synonym for similar behaviors in the capital market. In 1988, KKR's $31 billion acquisition of RJR Nabisco made headlines across the U.S. and the world, setting a record that wasn't broken for 17 years. Two journalists from the authoritative financial media, The Wall Street Journal, Brian Burrow and John Hellier, conducted more than 100 interviews with related parties across 6 states to thoroughly restore the entire process. They spent over 20 hours interviewing all the major players one-on-one and published the book in 1990, which I'm discussing today. The book meticulously recounts the life experiences of the two main characters in this acquisition battle, whose personalities and working styles significantly influenced the course of events. So, today's interpretation will first introduce these two main characters, Ross Johnson, CEO of RJR Nabisco, and Henry Kravis, partner at KKR. Understanding them gives insight into the two camps in the acquisition battle. Then we'll reconstruct the acquisition process, the two negotiations before the war and the two battles after it began. Finally, we'll delve into what makes this classic case worth reflecting on. Part 1. First, let's talk about the two protagonists leading this acquisition case. Starting with Ross Johnson, the CEO of RJR Nabisco. Johnson is a figure who some call Peter Pan, and others Robin Hood. Personally, he's charming and adept at networking. Professionally, he's imaginative, full of ideas, loves to tinker, and is daring in both thinking and action. While some people succeed through hard work, Johnson prefers cleverness. While some believe in the saying, "you reap what you sow," Johnson always enjoys making big gains with small investments. His life experiences perfectly illustrate this. Johnson was born in a small place in Canada, and after graduating from university, he was just a junior accountant. Finding accounting work dull, he thought it less interesting than his childhood newspaper selling and comic book rental business. After 6 years, he seized an opportunity to switch to being a salesperson, a job that suited him perfectly. Throughout his life, he excelled at selling anything, from property to companies, always getting a good price. As a proverb goes, able to sell a comb to a monk, Johnson was a sales genius. Early on, as a salesperson, he cleverly sold a large stock of light bulbs by painting them in festive colors before Christmas, making a handsome profit. Johnson's sales prowess wasn't just about quick thinking and creativity. He excelled at building relationships. He focused on developing close personal connections with clients, loved socializing, and spared no expense in entertaining them, always choosing the finest restaurants, the best drinks, and the best golf courses. With his flexible mind, sociable nature, and generous hospitality, his performance soared, leading to rapid career advancement. At 40, he had a turning point in his life, recruited by a headhunter to become the second-in-command at a large food company called Standard Brands. From there, he entered management and left his small Canadian sphere for the grand stage of New York. In his new phase, Johnson continued his style, but the top leader at Standard Brands didn't appreciate it. However, Johnson quickly gained the trust of the board and employees through his relationship-building skills, ousted his strict superior, and took full control of the company. Johnson believed in Bob Dylan's saying, "He who is not busy being born is busy dying," meaning that a company's development requires constant renewal and change. He summarized this as the philosophy of the shit stirrer and applied it to every company he managed. He constantly reorganized companies, establishing new departments for diversification while selling old ones to adjust strategies. New ventures had mixed success, but he always managed to sell old departments at good prices. Finally, he sold Standard Brands to Nabisco, the maker of Oreo cookies, becoming Nabisco's second-in-command. Using his same strategies, he quickly gained the board's trust and replaced the top leader. When tobacco giant RJR expressed interest in Nabisco, he sold it at a good price, again becoming second-in-command and eventually the CEO of RJR Nabisco, one of the top 20 enterprises in the U.S. Johnson's rapid ascent to CEO of a top company marked his career peak but also his downfall. His philosophy of constant upheaval didn't work well for a large, cross-regional, cross-industry enterprise like RJR Nabisco. As a public company, its stock prices plunged from $65 to $40 drew board dissatisfaction. Johnson's plan to gamble on a new product, Premier Cigarettes, failed spectacularly. Fearing for his job, he considered a management buyout (MBO), aiming to buy the company himself to avoid getting fired and to profit from the undervalued stock. An MBO is when a company's management buys out shareholders to become owners, gaining full control over operations and profits. Johnson proposed a $75 per share offer, hoping for quick acceptance, but Wall Street had also noticed RJR Nabisco's undervaluation, including KKR. Now, let's set aside Johnson and RJR Nabisco and introduce our other protagonist, Henry Kravis of KKR. Kravis's approach contrasts sharply with Johnson's. Diligent, disciplined, and determined, he is cool-headed and ambitious. In student days, he was more mature than his peers, determinedly playing football despite his small stature, and even later in life, he remained proud of his achievements. Kravis is courteous, driven, and calm in personal life, but ruthless and demanding at work, never hesitating to criticize subordinates. Kravis's father, a former Wall Street oil analyst, had connections that helped Kravis and his cousin George Roberts join Bear Stearns. There, they met mentor Jerome Kohlberg and explored leverage buyouts, eventually founding KKR. KKR's business model, developed over years, involved finding undervalued targets with stable cash flows, securing management support, financing the acquisition, and restructuring for profitability, before eventually selling at a higher price. This model, yielding annual returns sometimes over 60%, made Kravis a Wall Street powerhouse. Kravis heard of Johnson's $75 per share MBO and saw an opportunity, believing RJR Nabisco was worth at least $90 per share. Despite KKR's usual collaborative approach, Kravis decided to proceed even without Johnson's cooperation, leading to the aggressive takeover attempt described in Barbarians at the Gate. Part 2. The most aggressive takeover didn't go smoothly. It involved pre-war negotiations and 2 rounds of battle. Both sides enlisted powerful allies, Johnson with Shearson Lehman Hutton and Salomon Brothers, Kravis with Morgan Stanley and Drexel Burnham Lambert. Despite considering collaboration, their vastly different philosophies, Johnson's extravagant style versus Kravis's stringent discipline led to quick breakdowns in talks. Johnson's offer was $75 per share, while Kravis believed in control and prudent spending, offering only a minority stake. The first negotiation failed over control and profit sharing. Kravis's precise and disciplined approach clashed with Johnson's freewheeling style. With neither side yielding, they turned to competitive bidding. Johnson faced backlash for his low offer, while Kravis struggled without internal support. In a second negotiation, Kravis compromised on profit sharing but insisted on working with Michael Milken of Drexel, which Johnson's team opposed due to Milken's scandalous reputation. The media leak of Johnson's $92 per share offer ended the second talks. The battle then moved to bidding, with the first round seeing Johnson offer $100 per share and Kravis $94. A surprise entry from First Boston, offering $105 to $118 per share, disrupted the expected outcome, leading to a second bidding round. Johnson believed victory was near but underestimated Kravis's resolve. With internal support from Nabisco's executive, Kravis offered $106, leading Johnson to raise his bid multiple times, ultimately losing as Kravis's $109 offer won the board's favor. Part 3. This tumultuous acquisition, marked by dramatic reversals, became a classic case in business education. The book and the Barbarians label initially hurt KKR's image, but the case demonstrates that aggressive acquisitions, though controversial, are legitimate market strategies. In RJR Nabisco's case, KKR's reform plans, cutting wasteful spending and selling non-core units, appealed to the board and public more than Johnson's extravagant, unsustainable proposals. This battle highlights how image and strategy play critical roles in acquisition wars. In summary, we explored the personalities and backgrounds of Johnson and Kravis, the two main players in this historic acquisition. We reviewed the pre-war negotiations and 2 rounds of bidding that led to KKR's victory. Finally, we discussed the broader implications of Barbarians at the Gate in the context of aggressive market strategies. Both Johnson's and Kravis's lives offer insights into the complex world of high-stakes acquisitions. Johnson's opportunistic, relationship-focused approach clashed with Kravis's disciplined, ambitious drive. Their differing philosophies underscored the dramatic events of this legendary takeover. That's the essence of this book. The original book link is attached at the end for further reading. You can also click the share button below the video to share this book with your friends. Congratulations, you've just finished another book.